Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to look at the moon landing. So did it happen? Yes or no? I'm gonna say yes. Mostly because I believe in the science and I respect the men and women that worked in NASA to achieve the mission. But a lot of people don't believe it happened. And I can understand this. There's so many things that can be pointed out to say it didn't happen. Mostly because I think personally, a lot of people can't get their head around the science. Sorry guys, you're not rocket scientists. So stop convincing yourself you are. Why haven't we gone back since 1972? Okay, it's obvious, isn't it? It's political. It's money. No one sees the benefit of going back to the moon. They haven't seen the benefit since 1969. It's just they dragged out the missions for a bit longer because it was popular. It got them votes. It inspired people to vote for them. The money's not there anymore. There's been so many problems since the 1970s. Recessions, unemployment, poverty, wars. One has to remember that the moon landing happened coming to the high point of the Vietnam War. So America needed some inspiration, some motivation, something to believe in. And coincidentally, they had an enemy across the water, Russia, who was competing with them. So this back and forward competition inspired them to push forward, to find hope within themselves. The photographs. Of course the photographs are going to look fake. Because I believe a lot of the photographs are fake. I think a lot of the photographs are marketing photographs mixed in with real photographs. Because they took a lot of pictures before the mission and after the mission. And unfortunately these photographs weren't published in magazines, but they got mixed in with the normal photographs, and over time people focused on the fake photographs, and then when the real photographs were looked at, well, all they're going to see is fake, because now they believe it's all fake. Cognitive bias is a very strong thing. If you look for something hard enough and you really want to believe in something, you're going to find it. So if you find a fake photograph and you find a real photograph, but you already believe you're right about the fake photograph, you're instantly going to think the real one is fake. It's just the way the human brain works. It's a complex belief system, this, whether or not we went to the moon. But I do believe it happened. I do believe it happened. Now, I do have a theory why it hasn't happened since 1972, which I don't know if people will agree with. I think it's patents. I think it's technology patents. I think from 1969 to 1972, I think NASA had access to some technologies which allowed them to build shuttles to get to the moon. But after 1972, they no longer paid the lease to use these technologies, and they lost access to them. Now, I think this primarily falls into some extra conspiracies, which would look at the fact that perhaps they worked with German scientists or Russian scientists at the time to beat the competition. So if the American people find out that they used evil scientists to create technology to get them to the moon landing would be frowned upon, very frowned upon. And I think that would be a good reason to act all conspiracy about it. Even the astronauts, after they returned from the moon, acted unusual. Now, I think that was primarily due to some kind of PTSD effect from traveling to outside of Earth's atmosphere and going to the moon and seeing so much. I think it may have traumatized them slightly. But even today, whenever astronauts on the space stations are asked about why they haven't gone to the moon again, they can never answer the question. It's as if they want to answer the question because they get very sad whenever they're asked the question, but they can't answer it. So that seems to me some kind of legal thing which denies them speaking about why they really can't go back to the moon. And I think it's some kind of, well, patent issue. I think some foreign country was used with some bad scientists that invented some piece of technology that they need to get to the moon, and now America doesn't have access to it, but at the same time they can't admit they ever needed help back in the day, back in the 1960s, to actually achieve this goal, to beat the Russians. America wouldn't like to admit that they used German scientists back in the 1960s, only over a decade after the war of World War II, to help them build rockets and systems to get to the moon. Why would they do that? So they can't use it anymore. or they're not paying the lease anymore to gain access to this technology, which now sits in a country which will make them look bad. This is what I think. It just makes more fiscal sense that it's something to do with the technology patents. But of course, a while ago they admitted that they lost all the tapes and information which enabled them to create the technology. Once again, this kind of feeds my idea that they can't admit where they got it from. They can't admit who gave them the technology to help them get to the moon. So they have to make up other conspiracies to claim that they've lost all the information and documentation that got them to the moon. Which makes no sense, because it's obvious they have advanced in certain areas. They can get the Earth's atmosphere very easily. They can build space stations. They can build rovers that can get to Mars. But yet we can't get to the moon. What are we missing? And there's where the additional evidence to my theory comes in. SpaceX. SpaceX is constantly trying to find new ways to get into deeper space. Why must they keep on developing new ways to get into deeper space? Why can't they just reinvent the technology that was invented back in the 1960s to get to space? Because I believe even SpaceX is restricted by the same rule of patents that NASA is, which prevents them from using the same technologies they created or co-created with a certain individual or individuals to get to the moon or get to the Mars, which is SpaceX's objective. Now, I'm starting to sound like a conspiracy theorist as well now, but this is what I think it really comes down to. Technology patents. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And of course, this is why we see in 2019, we see China landing a rover on the moon, and then China planning to land manned shuttles on the moon very soon. It's because they don't give a crap about technology patents. That's why China is so awesome in that respect. They can build things without caring about copyright. So I think that's why China will get to the moon before anyone again, because they can make the technology which America will not admit they built with somebody else. So yeah, that's my take on the moon landing and my extra conspiracy and reasoning why we haven't gone back since. Or should I say, why America has not gone back since. And that's my take on the moon landing. I hope you enjoyed this little rant and podcast. Please subscribe and comment. And if you agree with my conspiracy, please let me know. I'll see you later, guys. And keep on staring at the skies.